Right now, in your kitchen, there's a small container of one of the most fought over substances in human history. Wars were fought over it. Empires were built on it. People were once paid in it. It's salt. Plain, boring, everyday salt. And the story of when humans actually started eating it is way stranger than you'd think. Because for most of human history, we didn't need to add it at all. Let's start with the basics. Your body cannot function without sodium. Not function well, function at all. Nerve signals, muscle contractions, fluid balance in every cell, all of it depends on sodium. This isn't a human thing either. Every mammal on Earth needs it. That's why you see deer and elephants and all kinds of wild animals traveling long distances to lick mineral deposits called salt licks. So here's the real question this video is actually about. It's not when did humans start needing salt, we always needed it. The real question is, when did humans start actively going out, harvesting it, and adding it to their food on purpose? Here's the twist most people don't expect. For a huge stretch of human history, our ancestors probably weren't adding salt to anything. Why? Because meat already has plenty of sodium in it. If you're a hunter-gatherer and a big part of your diet is wild game, you're already getting a solid amount of salt, built right into the meat and blood you're eating. Researchers studying hunter-gatherer diets have found exactly this. People eating primarily wild meat likely met their sodium needs without deliberately seeking out extra salt at all. So picture early humans tens of thousands of years ago. Hunting, eating meat, getting enough sodium almost by accident. No shakers, no mining, no trade routes. Just biology quietly taking care of itself. So what flipped the switch? Agriculture. As human societies shifted away from hunting and gathering toward farming grains and vegetables, something important happened to the diet. Plants just don't contain nearly as much sodium as meat does. So as more of the human diet became bread, grains, and vegetables, and less of it became wild meat, people's natural sodium intake dropped. Hard. And that created a brand new problem. A biological need that used to take care of itself suddenly wasn't being met anymore. Humans had to start doing something they mostly hadn't needed to do before. Go find salt. On purpose. So let's look at what archaeologists have actually dug up. Multiple sites on different continents all start showing intentional salt production around the same general window, roughly 6,000 to 9,000 years ago. In China, at Lake Yuncheng, researchers believe salt harvesting was happening as early as 6,000 BCE. The Dawenku culture was pulling salt out of underground brine deposits. In Romania, at a site called Poiana Slatinai, archaeologists found something incredible. Neolithic people were boiling salty spring water, using pottery to evaporate it down and collect the salt crystals left behind. That technique even has a name, briquettage, and it dates back to around 6050 BCE. In Bulgaria, there's a site called Provadia Solnitsata. Salt production there goes back to at least 5400 BCE. And get this, because salt was so valuable, this settlement became one of the wealthiest, most heavily fortified prehistoric sites in all of southeastern Europe at the time. Over in Turkey, at the famous site of Catalhoyuk, there's evidence of salt being used in food preparation going back roughly 9,000 years. And in Azerbaijan, there's a site called Duzdagi, believed to be one of the oldest salt mines on the planet, with mining activity stretching back thousands of years into the Bronze Age. Different continents, different cultures, no contact with each other, all figuring out the same basic problem around the same rough time in history. Once humans started actively producing salt, it exploded in importance. And not just for taste. Salt preserves food. Salted meat and fish could be stored safely for months, without refrigeration, without anything modern at all. Before that, food spoiled fast. Salt changed the entire math of survival. Suddenly, you could stockpile. You could prepare for winter. You could travel long distances without your food rotting along the way. That kind of power doesn't stay small. Salt became one of the very first major trade goods in human history. Some ancient cultures didn't just trade with salt, they used it as an actual form of currency. Later civilizations built entire economic systems around it. Ancient China taxed it heavily. Egypt, Greece, and Rome all built trade and preservation practices around it. Some cultures even folded salt into religious rituals and sacred ceremonies. All because of one small, simple mineral that our hunter-gatherer ancestors barely had to think about. Let's pull this together, because the honest answer has two separate parts. Biologically, humans have always eaten salt. Every meal with meat in it going back deep into our evolutionary past delivered sodium into the body. That part of the story is ancient, older than agriculture, older than farming, older than most of what we'd call human history at all. But deliberately harvesting salt, producing it, seeking it out, adding it to food on purpose? That's a completely different, much more recent story. That behavior shows up clearly in the archaeological records starting around 6,000 to 9,000 years ago, right alongside the rise of agriculture. So in a strange way, salt isn't really a story about flavor, it's a story about a biological need quietly shifting from automatically satisfied to actively managed, the moment humans changed how they got their food. So the next time you casually sprinkle salt over your dinner, think about what that tiny gesture actually represents. It's not just seasoning, it's the echo of a massive shift in how humans lived. A shift from hunting animals that gave us sodium for free to farming crops that quietly took that safety net away. Ancient people in China, Romania, Bulgaria, and Turkey all independently solved the exact same problem, thousands of years before they could have possibly known about each other. That plain white grain in your kitchen carries thousands of years of human adaptation inside it. Salt didn't just season history. In a very real way, it helped shape it. If this changed how you look at your salt shaker, subscribe, because I dig into the strangest, most human moments buried in our deep past every single week.